morning students. Our next lesson is human eye and the colorful world. Previously we have studied about the light, reflection and refraction. In this chapter we have to study about the human eye, its function and various natural phenomena which are taking place in the world, or you can say which are taking place on the earth. So we will first discuss about the various parts of the human eye. Roughly I have drawn the human eye. This is the lens, crystalline lens. This is cornea. Retina. Optic nerves. Ciliary muscles. Pupil and iris. So we can say these are the different parts of the human eye, right? Here one liquid is filled, which is known as vitreous humor, and here it is aqueous humor. Right, so these are the different parts of the human eye. We will discuss the function of each and every part one by one. So this is the outer layer of the eye, which is known as cornea. Cornea allows the light to enter in our eye. Whatever the amount of light is entering our eye, that is controlled by the iris. Iris control the amount of light by adjusting the size of the pupil. Means iris is adjusting the size of the pupil according to the intensity of the light. Pupil will expand or contract according to the amount of light which has to be entered into the eye. Suppose if we are in the dark room, right, then the large amount of light has to enter in our eye. In that case the pupil will expand, right? And if we are standing in the bright light, or if we are moving from the dark room to the bright light or in the open, in that case the size of the pupil will decrease or pupil will contract. So contraction and relaxation of the pupil is controlled by the iris. Then next is the ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles are adjusting the focal length of the eye lens. This is the eye lens, which is convex, right? We have already studied about the concave and the convex lens and the image formation by the concave and the convex lens. So in our eye we are having a convex lens. It is crystalline and fibrous. So ciliary muscles are adjusting the focal length of the eye lens, right? So if we want to see the nearby objects, right? So or if we want to see the faraway objects, then the focal length will be adjusted by the ciliary muscles, by the expansion and relaxation of the ciliary muscles. These are the optic nerves, right? So whatever the image will be formed on the retina, we can say retina is acting as a screen, because here we are having a convex lens. So the real and inverted image of the object is forming. So in our eye, retina is acting as a screen. So whatever the image of the object is forming, that will be formed on the retina, right? So optic nerves will carry the message in the form of electrical impulses that will send to the brain, and brain will finally interpret how the object is actually looking, right? So we are having convex lens, its image will be obviously inverted on the retina, but we can't see the objects inverted, right? Because optic nerves are passing the impulses to the brain, and brain is interpreting how the actually object looks, right? So we never see the inverted, means the image inverted. We always see the objects erect, right? So these are the different parts of the human eye, and we have discussed the function. These two liquids, aqueous humor and the vitreous humor, they are keeping the eye lens at a proper position. They are also keeping our eye wet, means they are providing the moisture to our eyes, and they are also providing the nutrition to the eye, right? So their main function is to keep the lens at the proper position, and or you can say they are holding the lens by exerting the pressure. So aqueous humor is exerting the pressure from the outside, vitreous humor is exerting pressure from the inside. So the lens will be at its proper position, right? So we have discussed the human eye, its different functions. Now we will discuss about the various phenomena, or you can say ki different phenomena which are taking place in the nature. But before we discuss with the natural phenomena, we must know the different defects of the human eye. So first we will discuss about the defects of the human eye. So mainly we are having three defects. So mainly we are having three defects of human eye. First one is the myopia, second is the hypermetropia, and third one is the presbyopia. Myopia means nearsightedness, right? In this defect, person can see only the nearby objects. If we talk about our eye, then the near point of our eye is the 25 centimeter, or you can say minimum 25 centimeter distance. If we are keeping the object at the minimum distance of 25 centimeter, then we can see the clear image of the object. Means the object will be visible clearly. And the far point of our eye is the infinity. We can see the objects up to the infinity, right? So if the person is suffering from the myopia, in that case person can see only the nearby objects. Person can't able to see the far away objects. In that case, it's far point. Far point, this is 25 centimeter is the near point. Far point of human eye is the infinity. So when the person is suffering from the myopia, its far point decreases, means its far point comes nearer to the eye, means it will not remain infinity. So we can say in normal human eye, suppose this is a human eye, right? This is our lens, right? Parallel rays are coming from the infinity. Okay, parallel beam of rays are coming from the infinity, right? Convex lens is a converging lens, so it will converge the light and the image will form on the retina. This is the normal human eye. Right? In normal human eye, we can see up to the infinity. So when the parallel beam of rays are incident on our eye lens, right, it will converge and it will form the image of the object on the retina. But in case of myopia, only the nearby objects can be seen by the person. It means its far point decreases, and instead of infinity, it will be somewhere before infinity, right? So we can say if this is infinity, or for the person who is suffering from the myopia, right, he or she will be having the far point before the infinity. or you can say nearer to the eye. So suppose this is the far point of the person who is suffering from myopia, right? Then the rays will be, this is infinity, and for the myopic eye, the person who is suffering from the myopia, his far point will be nearer. In that case, the image of the object will form before retina. Means here the image of the object will be formed, right? So in that case, person can't see the faraway objects before the image, because the image is forming before the retina, right? So in that case, we have to use the convex lens to rectify this defect, right? So this is the myopic eye. Generally, myopia is occurring in the young age. So the main cause of the myopia, is, first one is the elongation of the eyeball. Second is the excessive curvature of the eyeball, and the third one is the decreased focal length, right? So these are the main causes of myopia. First is the elongation of the eyeball, second is the excessive curvature of the eyeball, and third one is the decreased focal length, right? So when the person is suffering from the myopia, they can't able to see the faraway objects, they can see only the nearby objects. To rectify this defect, we are using the convex lens as the concave lens, because concave lens is a diverging lens. So it will diverge the rays and ultimately the image of the object will form on the retina, right? So I'm putting over here only. Suppose if we are putting a concave lens over here, this is a concave lens. Concave lens is a diverging lens, right? So whenever the rays will fall on the concave lens, that will be diverged. So ultimately the image of the object will be formed on the retina, right? So to rectify the myopic eye, we are using the concave lens as a rectification lens, right? So the main cause of the myopia are the elongation of the eyeball, excessive curvature of the eyeball, and the decreased focal length, right? And this generally takes place in the young age. Second is the hypermetropia. In hypermetropia, person can see only the faraway objects. Near objects can't be seen clearly. So in this case, the person means generally this defect happens at the age of, or you can say after the age of 40-42, right? So person will not be able to see the nearby objects clearly. In that case, what happens? Suppose this is the human eye. In normal eye, the parallel rays will come, they will converge and form the image at the retina. But in this case, what happens? Person can only see the faraway objects, right? They can't able to see the nearby objects. In that case, the image of the object, the far point of the person's eye will increase. In that case, the image of the object will form after retina, right? So, or you can say beyond retina. So, person can't able to see the nearby objects. In that case, we are using the convex lens to rectify this defect. The main causes of hypermetropia are the decreased curvature of the eyeball, means the curvature of the eyeball will decrease because of the increase in the focal length. So the main cause of hypermetropia is the increase in the focal length. So in that case, the curvature of the eye will decrease. So the person can see only the far away objects, can't able to see the nearby objects, right? So to rectify this defect, we are using the convex lens. As we all know that convex lens is a converging lens. So in hypermetropic eye, the image of the object is forming beyond the retina, or you can say after the retina. So if we are taking the convex lens to rectify this defect, the rays which are falling on the convex lens will converge and they will form the image on the retina, right? So in myopia, we are using concave lens as a rectification. In hypermetropia, we are using convex lens, right? Third defect is the presbyopia. In presbyopia, generally this takes place in the old age. So in the old age, the function of the ciliary muscles, the main function of the ciliary muscles is to contract and relax, right? Or you can say by contraction and relaxation, they are adjusting the focal length of a eye lens. But in the old age, their flexibility decreases, means they can't able to contract and relax properly. So they can't able to adjust the focal length of a eye lens, right? In that case, person is suffering from both myopia and hypermetropia, means in the old age, you can say after 55 or 60 years, the person can't able to see the nearby objects and the faraway objects, means the person is suffering from the myopia and the hypermetropia both. So in that case, due to the weakening of the ciliary muscles, right? Ciliary muscles can't contract and relax, right? So in that case, person will not be able to see the nearby and the faraway objects clearly. Okay, and this generally takes place in the old age, and the main cause of the presbyopia is the weakening of the ciliary muscles. Weakening of ciliary muscles, right? So ciliary muscles can't be able to relax and contract properly because they will lose their flexibility, and this happens because of the losing its flexibility, right? Means the ciliary muscles loses its flexibility, so they can't able to relax and contract properly. So in that case, the focal length of the human eye is not adjusted properly, right? So the person can't able to see the nearby objects and the faraway objects clearly, and that condition is known as presbyopia. These are the three main defects of the human eye. Instead of these three, we are also having the fourth defect, that is the cataract. Right? This is also occurring, means this is generally occurring at the old age, right? But it can occur at any age also. Right, so the main cause of this is the white layer of mucus is occurred on the eye lens. Means on our eye lens, one white layer is formed because of the deposition of the mucus. So we can't able to see the objects clearly. Means a cloudy appearance will formed on the eye lens. The rectification for this defect is the surgical operation only. In this condition, we have to operate the person and the eye lens of the person will be removed and artificial lens will be kept, right? So cataract is the condition in which one white layer will be formed on the eye lens. So person can't see the objects clearly, right? And only surgical operation can be rectify this defect. So these are the main defects of the human eye. So next is the accommodation of eye means the adjustment of the focal length, right? Our ciliary muscles are adjusting the focal length of our eye lens. That is known as accommodation of the eye. Suppose if you want to see the nearby objects, then the focal length will be decreased, right? If we want to see the far away objects, then the focal length of the lens will be increased. And this adjustment is done by the ciliary muscles by the contraction and relaxation. If the ciliary muscles will contract, right, then the focal length of the lens will decrease, right? In that case, the curvature of the eye will increase. So we can see the nearby objects. If there is the relaxation of the ciliary muscles, right, means the eye lens will be elongated. If the eye lens will be elongated, then excessive curvature of eye lens will be there. The focal length of the lens will be decreased. Suppose if ciliary muscles are relaxed, okay, in that condition the focal length will be increased. So we can see the far away objects. Next is the persistence of vision. Accommodation eye means the adjustment of the focal length. By the ciliary muscles. Right? So this adjustment is known as the accommodation of the eye. Next is the persistence of the vision. Persistence of vision means when we are seeing the object, right, its image is forming on the retina and that image persists or remains on the retina for the 1/16th of a second, right? If the light is removed from the object, we can see the object when the light is falling on the object and that light is reflected and comes to our eye, right? But if we remove the light on the object, then also the image of the object will be forming on the retina for the 1/16th of a second, and this is known as persistence of vision. Means if the light will be removed from the object, its image will be forming on the retina for the 1/16th of a second. That is known as persistence of a vision. So we have discussed about the different defects of the eye. Now we will discuss about the refraction through the glass prism. In the previous chapter we have already discussed about the refraction through the glass slab. Now in this chapter we have to study about the refraction through the glass prism. So prism is a three-dimensional figure, right? It is like a triangle, but it is three-dimensional. So whenever the white light enter into the glass prism, it undergoes refraction. It means it bends. This is white light. White light is made up of 7 colors. Right? So white light is made up of 7 colors actually. So according to the wavelength, when the white light enters into the glass prism, it bends. and it emerges out of the glass prism. Right? This is incident ray. This is refracted ray. And this is emergent ray. Right? So angle between the incident ray and the normal, when we will draw a line perpendicular to this face, right? Means if we draw a perpendicular to this surface, the angle between the normal and the incident ray is known as angle of incidence. This is angle of incidence. This is refracted ray. So the angle between the normal and the refracted ray is the angle of refraction. This is angle of, this is emergent ray. So angle between the, if we draw a normal at 90 degree, right, this is angle of emergence. Right? The angle between the normal and the emergent ray. Angle between the incident ray and the normal is angle of incidence. Angle between the refracted ray and the normal is angle of refraction. Right? So whenever the incident ray will enter into the glass prism, it will bend. It will undergo the refraction and then it will emerge out of the glass prism. Right? If we will extend this incident ray and the emergent ray, right? The angle formed by the intersection of the incident ray and the emergent ray is known as the angle of deviation. Means this one, this angle. This angle is known as the angle of deviation. Right? Angle of deviation is the angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray. Right? Incident ray when enters into the glass prism, it undergoes refraction, means it is bending towards the normal. When it is bending towards the normal, right? So there is the change in the path of the incident ray. Suppose if it does not undergo the refraction, right, means it will passes straight away. So we are just extending the incident ray, right? This is the incident ray. We are just extending it. This is the emergent ray. If we will extend this emergent ray, they are meeting at this point, right? So this is the angle of deviation. Okay. So angle between the incident ray and the normal is angle of incidence. The angle between the normal and the, actually this is, right, this is angle of incidence, this is angle of refraction, this is angle of emergent, and this is angle of deviation. So whenever the white light is entered through the glass prism, it always bends, right? Angle of incidence is always equal to angle of emergence. Angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence, but angle of incidence is not equal to the angle of refraction as it bends. So this angle and this angle will never be same, right? So this is the refraction through the glass prism. Now we will discuss about the dispersion through the glass prism. Right? Dispersion through the glass prism. Whatever the coming from the sun, right, that is constituted of 7 colors, means it is made up of 7 colors. The 7 colors are the violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red, right? The white light is made up of all these 7 colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. The wavelength of this white light is coming in the range of 400 nanometers to 800 nanometers, right? This is also known as the visible light. This is visible light. We can only see the light which is coming in the range of this 400 nanometers to 800 nanometers. We can't see the light which is below the range of 400 nanometers and above the wavelength of 800 nanometers. So this is also known as visible light because this is only visible to the human eye, right? So whenever the white light enters into the glass prism, this is the white light. When it will enter into the glass prism, as the 7 colors which are present in the white light, they all are having different wavelengths. So according to the wavelengths, their velocity varies. So when it will enter into the glass prism, it will split into 7 colors, right? Violet color is having a least wavelength, right? So it will band more, means it will show the highest refraction. Red color is having a high velocity, right? So and its wavelength is also greater than the violet. So it will show the least deviation, or you can say it will show the least refraction. So this is red color and this is violet color. This is red and this is violet. So whenever the white light enters into the glass prism, it will split into its 7 constituent colors, and that phenomena is known as dispersion of light. So what is dispersion of light? Dispersion of light is the phenomena in which white light splits into its 7 constituent colors, right? And these 7 constituent colors are forming a spectrum, means this is known as spectrum. Right? So dispersion means splitting of white light into its 7 constituent colors, and these 7 constituent colors are forming a spectrum. Spectrum means it is a band of 7 different colors which are present in the white light. So this is a dispersion through the glass slab, right? So sir, Isaac Newton has done so many experiments using the prism, and he came to the conclusion when we are using the glass prism and white light passes through the glass prism, it splits into the 7 colors, means it is showing the dispersion, right? He kept so many prisms along with this prism, means suppose if we are keeping any other prism in this way, right, then if this 7 colors will enter into this prism, right, then they will not show any further dispersion. But if we are keeping the prism inverted, means like this, then this spectrum will enter into the glass prism, it will undergo the refraction, and finally the white light will come out from the glass prism. This is red color, this is violet color, red, violet, and when it will comes out from this glass prism it will convert into the white light, right? So dispersion means splitting of the white light into its 7 constituent colors, right? When we are putting another glass prism, then we are recombining the spectrum. So it is known as recombination of the spectrum through the glass prism, right? When we are putting one prism erect or in this way, so it will show the dispersion. This dispersed spectrum will enter into the another prism which has kept inverted. So ultimately the white light will come out. This is known as recombination of the spectrum of white light. Recombination of the spectrum of white light. Is it clear? So we have discussed about the dispersion and the recombination of the white light. Now we will discuss about the different natural phenomena which are taking place in the nature.